And then she said, I'm going to miss you too. And then she said, now leave. So we left. And I went back there a week later. They were both gone. Both gone.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Ryan Files. This week's episode takes the phrase, "Are you not curious?" to the max as we dive into a subject that is as interesting as it is disconcerting to me. That's right, we're talking about ghosts and spirits. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, click that subscribe button and ring that bell to stay up to date on everything new right here at the Ryan Files. And stay tuned after this episode for a sneak peek at some of the new t-shirt designs that will be available for pre-sale very soon. And be sure to tune in to the Friday night mic drop this week as I announce an amazing guest who will be coming on this show next week. So let's dive in, folks. Ghosts, spirits, what are they? Are they real? Well, according to my guest today, not only are they real, but he has been communicating with them over the last 18 years as part of his paranormal research. That's right. He's a ghost hunter, and this week we get a chance to experience the world of Fred Slack. Buckle up. It's about to get interesting.
Are you not curious? Curious? Who is this man? Who is this man? This enigma. Yes, a man of many talents, but he is a glitch in the system. He spends his nights scouring texts for traces of lost knowledge. We dare not stand by and turn a blind eye to this man speaking on a public forum. It is all in the file. I present to you on this day the Ryan Files.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan Files. This week is awesome. I tell you what, I've known this gentleman for quite a few years, and we've talked a little bit about this in the past, but come to find out that my good friend Fred Slack has been investigating paranormal activity for about 18 years. He's from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He's awesome. And ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to have him on the Ryan Files. Big round of applause. Fred Slack, how you doing, baby?
Thanks, man. Great to be here. It's an honor to be your first Zoom interview.
It's a big deal, Fred. Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I can't wait to show you. I'll show you after we talk. And I'm doing that on purpose. I'm showing you after we talk.
Oh, the artwork.
The amazing artwork for the episode.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
So, Fred, how did you get into this? 18 years of, inspecting and investigating, I guess you'd say, the paranormal. That has to come from somewhere. How did it start out?
Well, I was always interested in the TV programs and things like that. A long time ago, before I really got into it, I was actually a skeptic, and I would look at I'd watch them and I say, you know what, that just, I don't know, right? I don't know if that's real. I don't know if it is or not, right? So what got me into it was, my father passed away hello.
This is going to happen. I'm sorry, Fred.
Oh. So what happened, what got me into it was in 2006, my father passed away. Okay. And all kinds of weird stuff started happening in my house, right? So, faucets turning on and off.
Wow.
Lights going on and off, TV on and off.
Wow.
One day, my wife, Chris, was making sandwiches in the kitchen, and she had 4 slices of bread on the counter, and she went to go to the refrigerator, open up the refrigerator, and she heard a noise, and the piece of bread that was furthest from the edge of the counter was in the middle of the kitchen floor. Or air conditioning going on and off. And this went on for probably about 3 months, and then it completely stopped. So that's what kind of got me. That's what got me into it.
Right.
I started reading up on it. I started slowly getting. First, I went to some local things, sponsors, haunted locations.
Okay.
And I started slowly building up, experience, and slowly started building up, buying equipment.
Right.
The most important piece of equipment for a paranormal investigator is a recorder.
Right.
Digital recorder. I use Olympus digital recorders. I have like 5 of them. I'll always keep one with me, and then I'll set them up in different rooms and just leave them play.
Right.
And then I'll go back and review them to see if I've caught anything. And if I do, I have an Audacity, it's a free program, Audacity, where I can, download the digital recorder and cut and, my EVPs. That's
Did they look anything like that?
No, mine are very small.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Similar products.
Yes.
I mean, very similar products.
Yep. So I have like 5 of these, and
right.
And I'll put them. Really, what I do now most of the time is I'll do like instant bursts where I'll go to a room or a location, a place, and I'll ask maybe about 4 or 5 questions to see if I get any responses. I'll do an instantaneous playback. I have an external mic that I'll plug it into so I can hear better. And if I do, well, then I can build on a conversation with the spirit.
Okay.
Which has happened quite a few times.
Okay.
So that's the good thing about doing it instantaneous instead of going back after the fact and say, hey, I got something here, right?
Yeah, you're in the moment.
Right.
Like, take advantage of it.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So that's what I've been doing for, years now, doing the instantaneous stuff. I'll leave recorders around too, but I mainly use the one for instantaneous playback.
Okay. So Fred, I think for the people who are watching this and maybe don't know as much as and maybe as much as I've kind of researched just for this topic, I want to get into kind of like, this is going to be one of those episodes where my cat is going to be invested 1,000%, ironically enough. So please forgive Finn. Finn, I love you, girl.
Finn must like my voice.
I think she does.
Hi, Finn.
What do you think? Let's just call it phenomenon. Okay, right now. What do you think the phenomenon is, and what do you think it is not?
Well, I mean, a ghost is an earthbound spirit.
Okay.
That has not crossed over.
Okay.
A spirit is one that has crossed over, has accepted and crossed over, and has the ability to come back and visit.
Okay.
So that's the difference between a ghost and a spirit. Now, there's a lot of things that, people say, why do spirits stay? Why does the spirit not want to pass on and becomes earthbound? And there's a bunch of different reasons, like, if it was somebody bad or somebody that felt that they didn't live a very Christian life, right? And they were afraid of judgment, with God that they believed, wouldn't they just would rather stay in the middle and not go on in fear of judgment and maybe being passed on to hell.
Okay.
That's one thing. The other thing is, sometimes I've heard where people, they've passed on through a car accident, murder, things where they've been really wronged and
Right.
yanked out of their body quickly. Well, a lot of times they'll stay because they want to see if their murderer has been caught, if their, person that killed them, whether it was accidentally or on purpose, is brought to justice.
Kind of like the old 80s movie Ghost.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Sometimes there's actually people that are yanked out of their bodies so quickly. And I'm getting a lot of this information from mediums that I know, spiritual mediums that can speak visually and talk to, spirits, ghosts. And a lot of times, believe it or not, there's people that have died so quickly that they don't even realize that they're dead for sometimes days or weeks. They don't realize it, and a lot of times they get stuck because they didn't go to the light.
Okay.
There's also some that voluntarily stay, people when they pass they stay for loved ones. They can't bear to leave their earthly loved ones and children. I have a really cool story about that. I had a neighbor across the street, and they were in their 80s. And, my wife and I would kind of take care of them and, do things for them. And one day her husband passed away on the property outside. Okay. So maybe about, I don't know, maybe a month or so after the fact, she had known I was into this, the paranormal. She came over to me and said, I don't want you to think I'm crazy, but I hear Jack calling my name in the house, and I hear footsteps. Okay. So I said, geez, Goldie, it's probably Jack. If you want me to come over and we'll find out, we will. So she wanted to. And sure enough, he was in the house, EVPs of him. But the craziest thing is, this guy was as deaf as a doornail in life, right?
Right.
But in death, he could hear and respond to questions.
Oh, wow.
It was, and it was his voice, and she confirmed it. We caught quite a few, sentences from him. So it made her actually feel good that he was there with her. Okay. Right. And here's the so he stayed for her. So maybe about a year later, she became ill. And, we were helping with her and helping her son and stuff across the street. She went in a hospital, which was maybe about a half a mile down the road from here. And she passed away in the hospital. So her son asked if we could go into the house the next day and turn off the refrigerator and get rid of everything in the refrigerator, because he lived a distance away. So we said, sure, because we had a key to the place. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring my recorder. And would you believe she was there?
Oh, wow. Wow.
The next night. They were both there. I have these EVPs on my laptop. I save everything that I get. She said, thank you. I love you. And Jack said something, I forget what he said. But then she said, and then my wife, Chris, she goes, We love you, Goldie. We're going to miss you. And then she said, I'm going to miss you too. And then she said, now leave. So we left. And I went back there a week later. They were both gone. Both gone. Both gone. No communication, no answers.
Wow.
So he waited for her. She came, and they both passed.
All right.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So these are some real life experiences that you're bringing to bear, which is kind of exactly what we're talking about. I do have a couple questions about some of this. I just wanted you to clarify. So we were talking about disembodied voices. I read an article, talks about, they're from ghosts or spirits, or there's a scientific explanation. That's kind of what we all get down to. And I kind of tend to believe that there's a little bit of both involved. I think that there are ghosts and spirits. I'm not exactly sure what that means, what that term means, but there's something that's obviously in the spiritual realm, if you will, that is real. I do believe, though, anything that's interacting with our reality, I think that there's also science behind maybe how that happens. More than just, I think that when you get into the spiritual dimension, so to speak, if that's what you want to call it, I feel like there's things that we just don't understand.
Right.
That is scientific, that can explain it. It's just that we don't have the math for anything beyond 3 or 4 dimensions.
Right.
So, in that being said, I mean, I can tell you as far as just audible things, I've not really had any experience with this all my life, per se, that much. But I do remember I was 13, 14 years old in Columbus, Ohio. It was around Christmas time. We lived relatively close to a shopping mall. We were shopping. I was with my folks. My mom forgot her wallet and said, "Son, would you run back home and grab my wallet?" All right. And I did, and it wasn't that far to go. And I went, got in the house, went upstairs to the bedroom and got it. And I was uncomfortable going in to our apartment at that time, just whatever reason. I had an unsettling feeling.
So it was kind of unsettling feeling going in there.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Where you normally wouldn't have that feeling.
Absolutely.
So that was your body being an instrument detecting
something.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got inside and I was like, ugh, you could feel it. Ran up the stairs, got the wallet, started heading down to where the stairs were, and I heard a voice. To this day, I can hear it in my head. I don't know if it was in my head or if I audibly heard it. I've often thought about that. Did I hear this because it felt like I did? And the voice was very simple. It said, "You're not alone."
Wow. For 13 years old?
13, 14 years old, yeah.
Wow. That must have freaked you out.
I bet you the amount of time it took me, I'm surprised I didn't break my neck getting down the stairs and out of the apartment. Came back, nothing there. Nothing. No, none of that feeling was there. And it's just ironic that I experienced that, and I often have thought about that because it had an impact on me as a young man. So I do believe this stuff is real, and whether or not that was psychosomatic, it was all in my head, it was psychological, or it was real, or whatever. But I also know that, listen, I'm 51 years old, Fred. There have been times where, I've gone to bed and I've just felt like there's something wrong. You know what I mean? or it's been dark or whatever, and I felt like there's something here. You know what I mean?
That's the big guy over there. Would you like to dance?
The more that you do, stuff and, ghost hunting and, paranormal, you become more open to spirits, and spirits seem to detect it. And, it's to the point where my wife and I, we've been doing this so long, we can just walk into a building or a room and know there's something there.
Right.
We feel it in our bodies, you just know there's something there. The hair rises on your arms and the back of your neck and on your head. And, your body's like one of the best instruments to, like you're experiencing,
And that's a subconscious thing. Don't you think that maybe we're not able to connect with directly, so to speak, but it's there and it's feeding us information that our brain is picking up and evaluating that maybe we're not even conscious that we're doing?
I think it's the, spirit, the energy, once the soul leaves the body, the only thing that's left is energy, and I think you just pick up on it. I have like REM pods that pick up on electromagnetic energy that, ghosts and spirits emit. So, just a simple device like this, where if anything comes near, it actually will go off and let you know. I got to see where.
And that's all based upon electromagnetic energy.
Yep.
Fields.
Yep, exactly. So, so if anything gets near, it just detects it.
Which, again, this is scientific, Fred. This is pure science at work, being able to potentially cross over into something that is, a different spiritual realm, multi-dimensional, whatever. And I wonder what your thought is in terms of, you'll go out, just like your neighbor you're talking about, you'll go out, you'll communicate, you're trying to have a conversation, you're trying to communicate in order to get a response. But it seems that without that, there are the ability of whatever these ghosts or spirits are, and they're all different, but they have the ability to cross over at will, or the ability to cross over. I mean, that's what's weird. You saw the lady coming down the stairs. That's a real thing. Is that an effort that she's putting forth to do that, or is it just something that she's not even aware of? Do they have a knowledge, a technology, or anything that is there that they're utilizing? What's the difference between that side and this side?
Well, there's that's where it gets kind of tricky, because there's two different types of haunts. You have a residual haunt, which is like the stone tape theory, where an event has happened,
something negative, murder,
yeah. Right? Or even something as common as a happy party. So, I've gone to places where you've heard footsteps and people sound like they're having a party, clinking glasses and everything, right? So, something like that, or a lot of footsteps walking around, that could be a residual thing. The other's an intelligent haunt where, it's a ghost spirit that, communicates in real time, uh, answers you with EVP, and a lot of times we'll just be sitting around in a location with a recorder running, and so many times we'll be talking and just talking amongst ourselves, and they actually interject like they're part of the conversation. They'll just say a comment, which is really, kind of strange. What really, even after all these years, just still amazes me is, with EVP, right? They don't have vocal cords, they don't have lungs anymore. How are they speaking and coming up on the recorder?
Or even better yet, I've thought about this. Why are we hearing footprints, or why are we hearing the steps? I mean, why do they need to walk on a floor?
Well, something like that is usually residual, right? I do have a really cool EVP. I didn't send it to you though. It was in a place called the Sun Inn in Bethlehem, and we actually heard an old inn with wooden floors, and we heard footsteps coming up the. We were the only ones in the building. Footsteps coming up the steps, and you hear me on the recorder going, "I hear footsteps. Do you hear them?" And then a spirit goes, "I hear the footsteps. Let me see them." So this spirit actually heard them and interjected. I'll have to send. I have so many of them, Ryan, that I just it'd be impossible for you to hear them all.
Does this ever make you feel uncomfortable, Fred? Like, or do you get a weird? No negative vibes.
No, not at all. So I've heard from a couple mediums that I have a really high energy protective aura.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that protects me, from negative things. So it does make sense, because I've never had any problems after, with all these years of doing this.
Yeah, that high energy thing, and that's a whole nother topic that this is once again where science actually comes into play here in almost a metaphysical realm. This energy thing, and it's literally frequencies, which literally can be measured scientifically. All right. And we know that certain frequencies beamed into your head, Fred, are going to cause you to feel a certain way. The higher the frequency, the more positive it is. The lower, the more negative.
EMF. EMF, EMFs can be, they can make you, too much EMF can make you see illusions, make you dizzy.
EMF and ELF, extremely low frequency. It's, and scientifically proven and weaponized, factually, that, it's been weaponized before. It's just interesting. And, talking to a medium, that would make sense that you kind of run on a higher frequency. And I think every human does run on a different frequency. Some of them, I think, are higher than others.
Right. Well, with EMF, that's one thing that, when you paranormally, if somebody has claims of all kinds of, weird and wild things, that's the first thing you do is you go into a location and check the EMF out. Are there exposed wiring, fuse boxes, things that just aren't wired right. So I have an EMF meter right here. Let me see. I could show you. So this measures EMF. It's also it also combines as a REM pod. So it's a combination REM pod, and it does EMF.
So it's just measuring the electromagnetic field.
Yep.
In a
to
certain
see
area.
If there's a reason why, somebody feels uncomfortable or sick to their stomach, or things such as that, because that is a scientific thing.
Yeah, and the one thing about it is that a bad short or a bad wire or whatever will, as long as there is current running through it, the phenomenon of that will be picked up and will be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas something that just appears out of nowhere and then can disappear just as quick without flipping a switch, so to speak.
Right. That's not normal.
Yeah, that's not normal.
Right. That happens.
Yeah, and that's we're going to get to that in just a second. But before we depart, we did talk about briefly. You talked about the two kind of hauntings, residual hauntings, and the other kinds. There are, there's a number of kinds. Demonic hauntings, intelligent hauntings, poltergeist activity, portal hauntings. Like, have you run into any of this stuff? Some of which it really almost doesn't matter who you talk to. When you get into some of these realms, there's a negative side to it that comes into play.
I've never run into any demonic stuff. I am going, and I'm a little uneasy about this place that I'm going to in the middle of April. It's called the Hinsdale House. It's in upstate New York, and they actually had two exorcisms there performed. And I'm staying overnight, sleeping in the place. So it's going to be a challenge for me. It's going to be
Yeah, take your positive energy with you for sure, and you might want to. I'm not sure that I'm up for that level of commitment into delving down this road. I do know that one of the videos you had, you talked about move that cat ball again.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a cat ball that was moved.
Yeah, we use cat balls just that you get in the pet store.
Yeah.
The little cat balls here.
Oh, I know all about them.
So what we do is we set up, those little glow string necklaces that you put around and you crack them and they glow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll crack one of them, make a ring, and then light up a cat ball and set it down in the middle of it so that it's encircled by the glow when the light of the cat ball goes off. And we've actually had spirits move these, and make them light up. It's a cheap little instrument to get some verification.
Well, that kind of goes into like almost poltergeist activity, right? Where you're.
No, this is actual, intelligent spirit, energy moving this. I mean, the poltergeist energy is usually something that is not nice, opening, being a real pain, opening closets, leaving drawers open, making a wreck of things, glasses flying off or dishes flying off and breaking, like a troublemaker.
Right.
And I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes poltergeist activity is not a spirit or a ghost. There are times when mediums that don't realize there's people out there that have abilities and they're mediums and they don't realize it. And when they're going through a tough time in their life, their energy is like emitting almost like EMF, right? And it actually creates chaos in the surrounding atmosphere, like the building, the dwelling, whatever, the household. it makes people in the house, they fight with each other. Things happen, just weird stuff, things breaking. But yeah, that is a thing too.
So it's a
So it's almost like a created entity by somebody who has abilities that don't really know they have abilities, but that they're in a troubled time in their life, or they're depressed, or
it's almost like a resonator for low level.
Exactly. Sort of. Yes. Yeah.
Frequencies that are impacting other people with low.
I had a hard time understanding this, in the beginning, and I just take it with, that the people that have told me about it know what they're talking about. So I don't understand it, how that happens, but they're from people that are really high up in the bar.
Well, let me ask you a couple other questions that come into play with all this. One that's interesting to me, I think I've experienced this as well. Cold spots. Immediate temperature change, 5 to 10 degrees or whatever, just coming into a space where it shouldn't be different, but it is. What is the ghost hunters, what causes that, in your opinion?
Well, ghosts need energy, to manifest and do things, to even speak.
Right.
So they'll take body heat. They'll take batteries. I've had, I don't know how many times I've had, new batteries in my equipment, and they go dead.
Right.
They'll just suck the battery, dry.
Right.
They'll do the same thing with, human energy. They'll take that, from a person,
right,
which is the heat. So one time I had this, my son and myself were down. We were in a location, and we were in a basement, and he was holding a K2 meter, which is a light up EMF meter, out in front of him as we were walking through the hallway. And all of a sudden it started spiking. And he said to me, "Something is grabbing my forearm." And it was going crazy. He goes, "My arm feels like it's in a freezer." And now, mind you, it was like 80 some degrees in a brick building in the summer in the basement. It was hot and humid, right? So I went and I touched his arm, and it was like it was in a freezer.
Oh, wow.
It was the craziest thing. Never had anything like that. That happened once, to that extreme. I do have a temperature gauge, and, I have felt in some spots you'll walk into almost like a swirling, little, like a dust devil, like you can feel a pocket of cold air swirling around, right? And I do have temperature gauges, and you'll check, from here and then go back like 5 feet, and it's completely, much warmer.
Yeah. I've had an experience with that in of course, I've worked in a lot of theaters, and you get into the older vaudeville theaters and whatnot. They all have history. And for, whatever you believe, they tend to say they're haunted. And there's a couple in particular that I just said, I don't really ever want to perform here again. Most of the ones that are haunted, I have no problem with. But there was one in particular, Wilmington, Ohio. I forget the name of the theater, but back in the Civil War, it was used as a hospital and a morgue, especially the basement. Dressing rooms were in the basement. Had to go down there and change. And brother, the temperature change, that feeling, the light starting to do this. I'm not down, But yeah, so I've experienced that. But the temperature change thing, it's not like, oh, it might be a little bit colder. No, it's like step to step. It's like going from a heated cabin out into the cold, It's like that noticeable. The energy, like heat is energy. So once again, you get into a scientific thing. So is this a technology? Is this if energy is the currency, we know that heat can be, heat is energy. Heat is, can be used for energy, but it's also, work produces heat. There's all kinds of correlations between science and these things, but I just don't think anyone's really taken the moment to kind of understand it, because there might be a different set of rules that you need to incorporate to understand it. But I believe with all my heart that there's a way to explain this stuff and not explain it away.
Right. Yeah. It's just a wonder. Science really has not done, much with this.
No.
And I don't know why.
Well, you do know why. You can't be taken seriously in an academic field of academics. They won't allow you to do that because the narrative is, oh, that's pseudoscience.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's some people that in the paranormal field that have extended and are experimenting with equipment. I actually just purchased a spirit box from a guy named Jeff Fent, and I drove all the way out to Columbus, Ohio, to pick it up. He does not ship these things because they're so delicate. I do have it here if you want to see it.
Yeah, those they're basically like radio receivers that you just scan the waves and see what you're picking up, right?
This one is like that, but I don't know how he makes it. There's basically very little noise. He's got noise eliminators in there, and he uses guitar pedals. And I don't know how he makes these things, but let me tell you, I was just at a haunted hotel. Haunted hospital back in November. And let me turn this thing on here. All right. So this is a spirit box.
Okay.
And it scans AM, FM. It's such an incredible, you can actually see it on the back here, how quickly it scans. So you're only going to get little chips and quirks. You're not going to get full words and full sentences because it's scanning the frequencies so quickly. It's impossible to get a couple words as a response or anything.
Can you isolate it onto a certain frequency if you pick something up?
No, it just constantly scans.
Okay.
So I took this and I brought it to this old deserted hospital in West Virginia. It's called the Old College in West Virginia. And it was my first time using it. And I said to the spirits, I said, hey guys, listen, we're going to play a game. Anybody want to play a game? Yes. All right, I'm going to play some songs. So I took my phone out and I started playing YouTube, and I was playing some songs. I said, I'm going to play some songs, and I want you to tell me who's singing the song. So the first thing I did was I played Elvis's Hound Dog. Then I turned it off. I said, all right, who was that? Guy's voice, Elvis. All right, so I go, wow, that's very good. So next question, I played Leonard Skinner, Ooh, That Smell. Okay. Turned it off after I played a little bit of it. Who was that? Skinner. All right. And I said, hey, speaking of Leonard Skinner, when you were alive, did you ever use marijuana? And the same spirit voice goes, are you a doctor or an idiot? I swear to God, are you a doctor or an idiot? And we just all started laughing. And then we didn't hear anything else from this guy. So, I used the people I went with have one too built by him. But it really works really well. Really well. So it picks up the spirit energy, the frequency, and it comes across over the radio. It's really crazy. I don't know the science behind it.
Do you feel that in a weird sort of way, this is the equivalent of a audio Ouija board?
Well, no.
There's parallels there.
Kind of, but in a Ouija board, you're touching it, and the spirit's using you to move the planchette, right? So I don't know. I don't use the Ouija boards.
I don't mess around with.
I don't use the Ouija boards. They're using you, and that in my thought is kind of like a partial possession.
Yeah.
Because they're in you and they're using you to move the planchette. And I don't want to get involved with that.
I think that's wise, Fred. I appreciate hearing that. A couple more things I want to touch base on, and then we'll take it home. The SLS cameras are very interesting. You sent me some footage of the structured light sensor cameras. Basically, the results of that stuff is technology that was taken from Xbox Connect version 1 and 2. The second one is higher resolution, but not as good as the first one, from what I understand. Version 1 is better for this particular use of it. And basically, for those that don't understand, 3D surface imaging is all that we're talking about. And the Xbox Connect used to have this emitter of infrared rays, thousands of them, shooting out into a room. They'd bounce off of everything, and then it was wide. It would have two cameras that would, sensors more so than cameras,
sensors, yeah,
that would be able to detect each of those rays, see what it bounced off of, and it would be able to create a 3D map image of a room. The software that Xbox utilized was in order essentially to detect you or me, human beings, and then be able to take that and manipulate your movements and put you into an environment on the TV screen. That's basically what the technology was that was developed by Microsoft. They since have discontinued it and whatnot, and there's a big run on those components for this particular thing that was, it was brought out a few years back in some ghost hunting shows on television, and it is very interesting. There's a lot of, I guess from a science standpoint, there's a lot of when it comes to that. I do know, though, that there is also some very interesting moments where you can say, hey, move your right arm, and the stick figure, all of a sudden is like, So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that technology. Do you think it's accurate? The software itself is literally looking for human objects, human-shaped objects. Who's to say that a spirit or a ghost or whatever takes on a human form? I don't know, but I mean, it is kind of a leading choice, so to speak, where this was designed to, and also just the motion, all that is a result of false negatives or false positives in the detection system, which we've seen in like real life. But again, you can't get away from the fact, hey, wave with your right hand, and it happens. So I don't know what to think of it. I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinion.
You see another one standing by?
Yeah, there's two of them. One's climbing. Yeah. Look, it's kicking him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Look, he's kicking him. How come you're doing that? Leave him alone. Don't be a bully. There's no tolerance for bullies here. Don't do that. Look, he's stepping on his head.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that to him?
No.
See? He didn't like it. You're going to get in trouble if you keep acting like this. Oh, he's gone. He didn't like getting yelled at.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Can you, whoever's sitting there, can you wave your right hand at us and say hi? Hands up in the air and wave. One more time, please.
Thank you.
Wow.
You think you could kick one leg up too, please? Not tap your foot, put your whole leg up.
I mean, there's nothing there that it would map. In that chair. Can you wave hi to us? Put your hand over your head and wave hi.
There's one over there next to you, see it?
What's your name?
Look, there's one.
Yeah.
There's two of them.
Don't worry. And that one's a glitch.
Oh, there's two.
There's two of them.
Oh, that's cool.
We want to sit up.
Hey, is one of you guys over there, Mr. King? Can you wave hi to me? Can you wave hi with your right hand? Wow. Great job. Gone. I sent you one from Penhurst where there was actually two of them.
Right.
There's no false negatives in something where so it was a basement. There was nothing around. You have to be careful with an SLS camera because you can get false negatives. Like, for example, if you are aiming at like a tall lamp, okay, a tall lamp, it sometimes will map it out as a human.
Right.
Okay. Or if you go, I've been to places where there's been a lot of furniture that's close together.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It'll map out a tall chair or an armoire as a human.
Right.
But you can see it because it's a split screen.
Right.
You can see that, you can see in one screen that there is furniture there, and so you realize and you disregard it that it's a false reading. But if you're in an open area and there's nothing else around, there's really no room for false positive there, especially
It's
in
intriguing and it's kind of freaky.
especially in that especially in that one, where the one was on top of the other one kicking it, and I yelled at it, told it not to bully it, and then it disappeared. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting technology, and we'll show the folks some of that footage just because it's kind of like wow, and it gets really even more amazing when you are able to see with infrared or night vision camera what you're looking at in the dark, and there's nothing in there.
Yeah, I mean you're completely in the dark, completely in the dark.
Couple more questions, and then we'll call an episode. I might have some additional research I want to do into this. Just having talked to you, a lot of questions come up in my mind that I would like to maybe at some point have you back, and especially after this next trip up to this house that you're going to. After I get back from Chile, maybe we'll meet up and do this again. But I wanted to hear your idea of hitchhikers. And I think you know what I mean. You go to a place, one of these haunted prisons or houses or whatever, and they decide they're going to follow you and go home with you. Have you ever thought of that, heard about it, thoughts?
Yeah, that happened once. I don't know where. It was a woman, and I don't know where we went. I can't remember, but I remember Chris was out in the garage, and she comes tear-assing in, and she's almost tripping into the kitchen. And so, what's wrong? She says, I just heard a woman right out there in the garage say hello to me. So I'm saying to her, are you sure? Because you've been to our place. We're close to the sidewalk in the street, right? So sure wasn't somebody just walking by, with a dog or something. And maybe about a week later, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and then I hear, when I'm going back to bed, I heard a woman go, hello, Fred, just like that. And I just said to myself, ugh, right? I didn't say nothing. I just went to bed. So I got up, the next day, and I'm thinking, well, let's hope nothing, bad's going to happen with this. And I just had a conversation, and I said, listen, I know you're here. And you know what? It's okay if you want to stay here, right? Because I just don't want you to interact with us. You got to behave yourself. And if you don't, you're going to be leaving. So I've had like little things here and there, since, like, I'd be watching TV in the living room and I hear somebody snapping their fingers, and I go, hey, I told you, knock it off, or you're going to be out of here, right? So I'm not sure if she's still here or not. I don't interact. I do not investigate my house. It's my safe area, right? So, so yeah, it's possible.
Oh,
you got to think about it. You got to think about it, Ryan. So you're in I've done cemeteries and whatever too. So if you're walking around in a cemetery and there's spirits in there, right? And they're just dying for interaction because nobody hears them, right?
Right.
So you're walking around asking questions, playing back their voices. And they finally say, wow, this guy can hear me. I can talk to him, right? So, the hitchhiker possibility. Yeah, it's there.
Okay. You know, I talked to Timothy Alvarino when we were in Peru, and one of the subjects that came up. Have you ever seen Curse of Skinwalker Ranch? Have you watched any of that?
I have seen investigations from different on paranormal shows of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot of, you know, and you do get involved. You can always get involved. Paranormal, into UFOs, into, you know, cryptids and creatures and all kinds of stuff. There's certain ways some people you can kind of combine them all. And anyway, the bottom line is he'd been had the opportunity, and maybe still will, to go on the ranch and be part, you know, of the television series. But the big thing, he was like, you got to be worried about hitchhikers, you know. You don't want that in your life. And I mean, I think that there's some weird things happening on that ranch, for sure, that go beyond just friendly ghosts, you know.
I mean, the spiritual energy that you I don't know if you did, but when you went to Machu Picchu, did you feel anything there? I mean,
absolutely.
The spiritual energy there must have been through the roof.
Not, and even like Machu Picchu, yeah, but Napo Iglesias, up on the side of this mountain, nobody knows about it. You know, that was allegedly a portal, literally there. There's, you know, you're into something, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And some of these structures, just different places too. Some of it, you know, is just a normal feeling, and then you get into a certain place and you're like, there's something here, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Very interesting. Have you ever gone any place, in any haunted place, or hey, this place is super haunted, and just left disappointed, like there's nothing here?
Well, you know, sometimes it's really strange. One of my favorite places to go is, I mean, I've been all over the United States, different places. I've done, I've done jails, I've done asylums. I've even gone out to Tombstone, Arizona, and investigated the OK Corral and the old courthouse and the Birdcage Theater, Boot Hill Cemetery. But you know, with every haunted location, it's really strange. My favorite that I've been to the most, and it's because it's only an hour from me, is Pennhurst Asylum. And it was an old state school that closed down due to mistreatment of, patients. And it's just got some dark history, some bad things there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's usually very active. But some nights you go and it's not too active.
Wow.
It really depends. It's you don't hit the jackpot every time. It just happens. I don't know why. Sometimes it's more active than others.
Okay.
So, yeah.
My final question before I let you go is, have you ever come into what, your senses is telling you something's here?
Sure.
That you, rather than trying to engage or communicate with or whatnot, you got an unsettling sense and said, you know what? I'm just going to back away from this one.
No, not yet.
Not yet?
No,
Okay.
not yet. No. Like I said, I'm a little worried about the Hinsdale house. So I'll let you know how that one goes.
Do you have friends and whatnot in the industry of ghost hunting and whatnot you've talked to that have those stories?
Yeah, I go with this other couple, and this guy he's probably as good or better than me. I mean, he has even more equipment than what I do. He doesn't have kids and 12 grandchildren, right? So he's got plenty of money. He has a lot of the state of the art stuff, like big time.
Right.
So But all the new gadgets, they're nice, but they're not required.
All right. I think at the end of the day, I think that there is a real, and it doesn't matter what you believe, I think that there is a real spiritual realm, so to speak, whatever realm that they're from or live in dimensionally or however you want to say it. I think it's real, without a doubt. I think that some people are more sensitive to it than others.
Yep.
And I think, though, that there is also a science, believe it or not, a science that can be applied. We might not understand it. But I do believe that there is a science that can be applied, just like all these tools that you're bringing to bear are literally science.
Right.
Maybe, and it's just like everything else. You start to indicate, hey, this can measure this. How do we measure it better? And then, you take on. I just wish that maybe, and maybe you'll be one of the pioneers of this, Fred, to lead us into maybe a better understanding just through. Because basically, what you're doing is a scientific method. You're experimenting. You're going out there and you're trying to gather data. And that is science.
It's not at this point in my life. It's not trying to prove
right
that there isn't something after we die. It's more like fishing, seeing if I get anything. Seeing if I have an experience. I don't have to prove to myself or anyone close that, this truly is real. It's at this point just gathering information.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you so much, Fred. I really do. This has been educational to me. I don't enjoy the topic just from the standpoint that it can freak me out. And I do feel like maybe I am a little sensitive to it at times. But I am also extremely curious all the time and understanding things and making sense of things that don't make sense. And this is one of those things that just doesn't make sense.
I wish you would come with me to Pennhurst. Come here a little early before Penn's Peak, and we'll go down there.
I might do that. With someone with a little experience, I wouldn't mind going down there.
You'll be okay. You'll be all right.
Thank you, Fred. Penn's Peak's going to love it. I'm just going to be like, hey, I can't do the show. Fred, it's Fred's fault. He freaked me out at Pennhurst, and yeah. But no, we'll let's talk about that. I'd love to have you back on after you get back from this. What's the house's name again?
The Hinsdale House.
Hinsdale House. Have you ever been to any place around here? I know in Eureka Springs, there's, what is it?
Not around there. No. My friend's been to Sweet Springs.
Okay.
I've been to Mansfield Reformatory. I've done the Shawshank prison. I've done that. That was really active.
I tried to be a extra in, what movie was it? It was Air Force One, I think, with Harrison Ford.
Okay, I remember that movie.
Back in the day, and there's a very short prison scene where I think they're releasing a prisoner or something. I forget what it was. Anyways, long story short, I tried to be an extra, which I would have been a German prisoner, and it was shot in Mansfield's prison. And I tried, and I didn't make it. I didn't make an extra. The only time I ever made a movie was being in The Identical. So there you go.
And that was a great movie.
Oh. Hey, listen, I'm going to let you go. Would you be interested in coming back on, talking a little bit about your experience when you get back?
Yeah.
All right.
The night before, we're doing Wildwood Sanitarium, which is an old tuberculosis hospital. So we're doing a back-to-back. Wildwood Sanitarium on Sunday night and Hinsdale House on Monday night.
All right. Well, if I can ever get you out this way, maybe I'll get you to come. There's a number of places around here, and there's the haunted stuff for sure, but we're out here in the middle of the Ozark Mountains, so we get a lot of the crazy Bigfoot and cryptids stuff too. I don't
know what to think about that stuff.
Hey, I think if you believe in one, I think it's not a far stretch to believe in both. I just and whether or not they're connected, but we'll get into that more and more. But yeah, maybe I'll go to Pinhurst. You come down here, and we'll go to a couple of certain things that exist down this way.
Deal.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, that's great, Ryan.
All right. Well, if you ever want any help getting it out there, because I mean, I feel like you have a mountain of stuff that you could just even post for people to be able
No,
to.
the stories I have, you wouldn't believe.
I bet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much. My good friend, Fred Slack from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Fred, we're going to have you back on. We appreciate you. God bless you, friend.
Thank you. It was an honor and pleasure being here.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, man. All right.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Be sure to let us know what you think about the idea of ghosts and spirits in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and hop over to theryanfiles.com, where soon we will have these amazing t-shirts available for pre-order. It's a great way to support the Ryan Files and help promote the channel. And of course, if you like the content here at the Ryan Files, click on Become an Agent, where you're going to be forwarded to our Patreon page. Every bit of support helps, folks, and it is appreciated. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Next week's guest is a big one, folks. So tune in for this week's Friday Night Mic Drop, where I will announce just who it is. Stay curious out there, my friends, and stay awesome. I'll see you next week right here on The Ryan Files.
The Ryan Files.
Finn, you can't stand on the air purifier. You turned it on. You can't just... Finn. Baby, don't turn... You can't...